Thank you for staying with us. Let us continue with our next conversation of the morning. And right now we will be talking about just how prepared are you for the new year. To be specific, new year mental preparedness. Just how prepared are you? Matters mentally. Have you already sat down and set yourself up for the new year? That is what we will be looking at this morning. And I am pleased to be joined by two gentlemen, beginning with the one seated on my immediate left, and we have Joshua Karanja. Joshua Karanja is a trainer and mentor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, right next to Joshua, we have Cleopa Njiru. Cleopa Njiru is a counseling psychologist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, let us begin, gentlemen. You know, when we talk about one being mentally prepared for the new year, what does that actually mean? Let me begin with you, Cleopa.
We need to first of all look at the season we are coming from. Mm-hmm. Like it has been a season of many things happening. Mm-hmm. There are those people who traveled up country to get grounding with the culture where they come from, and to adhere to certain traditions. Mm-hmm. There are those who remained in their workstations, in their urban setups. They could not manage to travel because of the financial reflecting about the future and the situation they are in. Mm. And then there are those who were able to celebrate with families, and they faced different uncertainties. So preparedness for the new year means you are looking at the pressures, the anxiety, the stress, the happiness, the joy that happened over the holiday season. Mm-hmm. And now you have started a new year with the new expectations, pressures of school fees, pressures of going back to school, starting over again. So it's a period where people have to really come back to themselves. Mm-hmm. So that coming back to themselves, how well prepared are they? How can they cope with the pressures that come with that? Mm-hmm. So it's a bit of coping with stress, coping with anxiety, coping with all the things that happen. Others are a little bit relaxed because if someone went for a holiday, they had a good time, so they are coming back full of energy. So it's a mixture of emotions, and each person has got a different way of looking at it, depending on what happened during the festival season.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think, Joshua? When we say you're mentally prepared, what does that look like?
I just want to build from where my colleague has talked from. I also want to take it a notch higher, not just the holiday, but even the activities and the occurrences of last year, which we had a very eventful year. There are those that probably their jobs ended, or even their businesses went down. The environment wasn't that conducive. And so they are coming from a point of fear and going to the unknown. And so I think most of us are taking it a day at a time. We might not have that well worked out plan, but you're just taking it a day at a time with so much fear. You don't know if you'll get to the end of January, the 99 days of January. We are not sure if we
January, as they call
January. Wanasema hata ukificha cabbage kwa Uhuru bag, hakuna mtu nunua ball January, so tunajua ni cabbage. So we are just talking a day at a time, but you're also very hopeful that God will take us through. Yes, we are also hopeful.
Yeah, so there's not much about being prepared for the year from your point of view. Like, there's no point I can say, as Vivian, I feel like I'm very prepared for the year. Mentally, I'm well set to begin this new year on this particular note.
Yes, if I talk for my generation, there are times when we would, by first you have written down your goals, you have written what you'd want to achieve. It was well written up, but for last year and this year, let's say, we are just taking it a day at a time. And also, probably there were some unfinished assignments that you had last year. They were interrupted probably by the seasons that we had, as my colleague was talking. And so the preparedness we are is we finish what we were building last year, and then this year we see how it goes.
Yeah.
So it's taking a day at a time. We are not really prepared for the year. That's what I would say.
We're not really prepared
not
for
really
the
mentally.
From your point of view.
From my point of view.
Okay, there's something you had mentioned, Njiro. You had talked about, some people, are coming into the year, having come from a year that was very difficult for them, a tough year that was 2025 for some people, So for someone who's now getting into this new year, okay, we are all into the new year, the ones who we are here now, like how can you mentally reset from the tough year that was? If you had a terrible year last year, I know that we lost so many lives last year. So there are families that are still in mourning. As we speak right now, from the collapsing of the building that happened in South Sea, there are people who are in mourning right now. So how do you mentally prepare yourself for a tough year, for the tough year that was, or for the tough season that you might be in? And is it even possible to prepare yourself mentally for such?
There is something that happens because as human beings, some things are driven by what happens in our brain. Like now, when people are saying Merry Christmas, sending messages, having some celebrations here and there, then came 31st, New Year, when people are sending Happy New Year messages, when people are meeting with each other. The moment when you hear that Happy New Year, that gives you some hope. So there is something that is triggered in the brain by the event and by the celebration. So that alone changes the way people are thinking because of the positive messages that are coming. But then immediately you come to reality. Like what you have said, we feel sorry for those who may have lost their loved one over the period. And as you're saying, it's not only last year or one event, but we look at the whole of last year, quite a number of things could have happened. Some people may have lost their jobs, others may have lost their business, as said, but most precisely is anyone who lost their loved one, anyone who has a sick person who had to go to hospital even during this time. So all those people, they are coming to the new year with the mixed emotions. There is the joy of a new year, but the reality of the situation they are in is still there. So what is important is, do we have help around us? Like those people who have already gotten to a culture of ways of managing stress. No matter how stressful the situation is, they have built resilience. So for them, coming new year, they still look at it with hope, with faith, that despite the challenges they may be going through, things will work out. So it is all a question of how well people are coping. And that's where now help comes in. Like those people who may visit psychologists, counselors, go to church, all those things helps people to cope with whatever situations they could be going with. And the culture would be like enjoying nature, even when things are tough, being able to connect with the family, with the friends, with the people who care, doing exercise. There are many things that keep someone fit despite the challenges they are going through.
So if you're coming into the new year, with it being a tough season for you, just find help. In one way or the other, find ways of, getting yourself out of it, however hard it may be, just try to find help. And as you're saying, help doesn't really need to be you finding maybe a therapist to speak to. It can be as easy as you having a routine, ensuring that, okay, when I wake up, I need to go for a run every single morning. That is also a way of you getting help in one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
All right, I get you with that. I want to get back to you, Joshua. And, when you spoke about New Year resolutions and you're saying that was a thing of your generation. I don't know if you come from the same generation, but do you mean to say that you feel right now people don't put down New Year resolutions?
Not on paper. Before we were writing, in fact, I remember we used to write and even go with them to church the first Sunday na unaambia Mungu ndio hizi hapa. nataka girlfriend, nataka job, nataka kuomoka.
Yeah.
You know, you are very specific. But probably with disappointments along the way, even if you didn't get everything, what now we have is you've written them in your heart and probably in your mind. As much as we're not writing them down, doesn't mean we are walking in blindly. Yes.
So you feel like writing them down ni kama ndo swara. Ukiziandika ndo mambo iko.
Exactly, jumeshaonyesha watu. Sasa and people are marking.
Yeah.
Ulisema utapata dem, so tunakuangalia.
Yeah. But you know, like having them down doesn't mean you're showing anyone. You
Yes,
see, like for some people, me being one of them, I believe in having like a vision board.
Yes.
So I have a vision board of something I'm seeing every single morning of the things I would love to, you know, achieve by the end of the year. So they're like small goals, yes, but they are put somewhere where I can see them every day.
In fact,
so,
even our faith, the one that is subscribing in the Christianity, Habakkuk 2 says, write down your vision in big letters.
Yes.
So that anyone goes will see. And again, Joseph goes ahead and said, the vision might delay, but it will come to pass. So I want also to speak hope to my generation that even if things didn't work out for you, you can still write them down. Sometimes delay comes, and delay is not denial, but it might come at the time that you're prepared for it. Because there are also some blessings that God can give you right now, and they mess you.
yeah.
Sai God akikupea Subaru utateremka Naivasha upate accident. But ukiwa prepared na uko poa for it, si lazima go that route. So sometimes God looks at the capacity that you have in. So I'll also encourage my generation, even if we didn't get it, it doesn't harm to write. Sometimes you might not write it physically, but write it in your heart, and then always remind God, this is what I want to achieve for this year.
Yeah, because I feel like there's also the saying that if you don't plan, then you're as good as, it's like you're planning to fail.
Yes.
How does it go? If you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. So, you know, there's that. So I don't know. I think that for some people, maybe it just works whereby, unaingia tu kwa mwaka vile kutaenda kuende, you know, whatever comes. But I feel like, I mean, just having things set, not necessarily writing down if you're not the kind to write it down, but just knowing in your mind, okay, in the first quarter, maybe I would want to do this. I would want to do that. I would want to change the habit of coming late every time. Like small things like that, not necessarily I want to have 2 million, you know, by the end of the year, and maybe you don't even have a job. Not that kind, you know, but just having things set down in a way, or put down within yourself, you know, this is what I want, this is what maybe I would love to achieve. Do you subscribe to that?
For me, I'll go into rituals. You know, there are certain things that people have to really be helped to protect our mental health, because they're important. And these things, you see them even when you are supporting someone with depression, anxiety, mood disorder. Sometimes when you help them to get certain rituals, then they are able even to manage their mood. So having rituals is important. And a part of it is those things that you can write. Like, for instance, journaling in the evening, affirmations in the morning. All those are rituals that we help people. The same thing at the beginning of the year, to have time to sit down and think about reflecting on the past year. What did you do last year? And there are people who are very committed to such things, reflection. The year is ended. I had planned to do one, I did this. Then they look forward to the expectations of the coming year. They sit down and say, for this year, these are the things that I would want to achieve. And some families, like even couples, there are people who are taking some of these things now seriously. Like, I've been invited by a few families, and I was amazed to hear them as a family saying, last year we met and we decided to do 1, 2, 3. This year we have achieved this. What are we planning for next year? As families, You see even children, they are being asked about their studies. There is a culture that is coming out that is very good. The same for couples. There are couples also who sit down and they reflect what has happened in the past 1 year. Did they have conflict? Were they always defensive? Were they having contempt? How many times did they go into conflict? How did they resolve them? So you see, it's not about money. Because sometimes when we are thinking of setting goals and resolutions, we may only focus on finances, material.
Yeah.
But there are those things that have to do with our mental wellness, our mental well-being, our relationships, our emotional balance. You know, how are we going to be for the coming year? Where are we right now? So resolutions for me, I feel it all depends with the individuals, but there are those people now who have made it a culture, a ritual, that at personal level, at family level, couple, if they are in a relationship, they are sitting down to ask themselves, this is how our relationship has been the whole of last year. This is where we are now. Are we going to propose in April? Because proposal is not just happens.
Yeah.
People plan for it.
Yes.
They know that our relationship is now mature. We can move to the next level of commitment. And so if we are moving, then this is the time to sit down and say, we may have a wedding in August, we may involve our parent this time. That is now the maturity.
Yeah.
And sometimes when they are being helped, when they have someone who is mentoring them, who is walking with them step by step, then they will come up with a very happy marriage afterwards. Yes.
I like that. And you know, you've talked about that, and I have actually seen that, you know, within these first days of the year. I have seen on my feed on Instagram, there are couples who, it's actually called Couples AGM. So it's a meeting, they have very young couples. So it's something that it's kind of a tradition. Every beginning of the year, they sit down as a couple and decide what worked last year, what are we carrying forward to this year that didn't get to work last year, what more can we do this year? And I feel like it's such a good way of approaching life, right?
I totally agree with you. I think it's a new way of handling things. I think it's and it seems like it will be very effective where you sit down. And also, as you also go to the couples, like personally for myself, I'm also doing resolutions, but for me. Like which friends mattered last year or influenced my life. Ama walijaza tu phone book na WhatsApp. You know.
Ni wale wa cut off at the beginning of the year.
Not really cut off, but at least put them mali. For now, protect your heart. Because I think pia tulikuwa na expectations labda na some people would come through for you or even stand with you. Not even financially unafikiria atanijulia hali, you know. So I think this year it's also a time ya reflect. I also need to protect me. I also need to make a resolution on me, not sometimes on the outside or the kids or my wife, but also on me. Yes, I'm also thinking about me, and also agree with Cleopa, not necessarily financially. Pia, there are things you can do ambazo zenye si za financial. They just need a decision. They just need a decision. And because the year is still young, you still have time to make those decisions and have time to correct. If they're not working, you still have enough time to correct before the year goes on.
And even with that, I had a question on, you know, just what role does self-compassion play in personal growth?
Thinking about yourself, I think that's what that you mean, self-compassion.
And giving yourself, you know, that leeway, you know, forgiving yourself for the things you feel,
Yes, I totally agree. In fact, the last part of the year, that's what I used to, that's the biggest conversation I had with young people. Because the blunders and the things that, the mistakes they have made, you'll find their families and the society forgives them, but they themselves don't forgive themselves. Especially unapata kama ni dem, aliingia kwa relationship, ajua aliingia kwa hiyo box aje. And so as much as alitoka akiwa ako hurt, but ametoka akiwa mzima, hajaji forgive niliingia, mbona nilifanya hivyo. And most of the people that I counseled the last quarter of the year, ilikuwa hiyo kukosa kujiforgive, and that is the message that I carried, and it cut across that you also need to forgive yourself. Yes, you did that blunder. Yes, uliingia hiyo box. You did that financial mistake. Wengine walifanya gambling with money ambayo ilikuwa ifanye something in their lives or in their families, and they didn't forgive themselves for that mistake. But I just tell them, sai, you still have yourself. You still have yourself. So this year, jipende kwanza pia. Because you cannot, you give out of the abundance of what you have, from what is inside your heart. So I feel if you prioritize yourself, even the Bible tells us, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So look inside, as you're saying, have that personal compassion. Once you put yourself right, and again you'll set a standard of how you want people to love you. If you don't treat yourself, kama ujejipeleka kahawa, ujejipeleka pizza, ukae tu chini na ujibambe we mwenyewe, you won't have a standard for yourself.
That's true.
Yeah, so also as you do self-compassion, you're setting a standard of how you want people to treat you. Yes, so I totally agree with you. It's a great starting point. Start with self. It will shape your year.
Give yourself that self-compassion. Just be compassionate with yourself as well. You know, sometimes we are very hard on ourselves. We extend grace with other people, but when it comes to you, you really beat yourself down for something maybe you've done and you've not forgiven yourself for it. So yeah, I believe that's a really good thing to do. Now, the new year also comes with a lot of anxiety for some people. Like, it comes with a lot of anxiety of what the future holds. You know, you're seeing everyone else seeming like they are well set for the year. You know, everyone saying, you know, it's a blank page. I like saying that. It's a blank page. So you now start doing the writing of how you want the year to be. Like, you start writing your story of the year 2026, assuming it's a book that someone will read later. So it might come with a lot of anxiety when you feel like you're not really prepared for it. So for someone who's anxious, you know, about what the future holds for this year, maybe what's a tip that can be grounding for them?
The first thing is to acknowledge that anxiety is something that is with us all the time. Every minute you are anxious about the next minute. Like now already, the parents who are having children who are going to now moving from grade 9 to the next, they are already thinking of, will I manage to get the school fees? Will I manage to get the school? That is anxiety. When you have anything to do. But now it gets to a point where you are too anxious that you start even panicking, you start having certain fears or certain occasions. You know, when it now moves from the normal anxiety or the starting of being able to adjust to the life that we have been living to come to the new terms. So when it becomes that is where now it becomes an issue that you may need to see a specialist so that you are helped with how do you manage now that anxiety. But for the normal one, there are some few things, like you have said, some tips. Number one is let us focus on doing something, being creative, doing our work. Even if you are having financial challenges, if you are having relationships problems, meet people, start doing something. And when you are doing it for what outcome you will get. You know, we always think about money, the benefit, but do something that will help you engage in an activity or in an action because of the effect or the after of that action. Then value relationships, like love. Love, you know, we need to think love between family members, love romantic relationship, love of your neighbor. You know, think about having an experience of another person just because that person is a person. And that's where now, when you have anxiety or adjustment disorder, you may need to choose seeing a therapist so that you have that experience of therapy, of someone who is an expert. So focus on having experiences. Could be romantic, could be friendship, family. Make intentional actions when you feel anxiety is coming in. But finally, your attitude, that even when you don't know how tomorrow will be, Even when you don't know whether you'll get school fees, even when you don't know whether you'll get work, whether you'll pay rent for the coming months because of the situation, maybe after the celebrations and after the things that have happened in your life, there is a way you can change and start realizing everything that happens for a life, there is the positive, and if you take it positively, good things can come out of it. So your attitude, even when you are suffering, and sometimes to get that attitude, you may need someone to walk the journey with you. That's why we are saying be creative, do some work, don't just sit and say, I have problems. Even walking to see a friend, a family member, that is an activity. Farming, doing something, anything that can help you, that reduces the chemicals. You see, there are certain chemicals that cause, like the stress hormones, there are chemicals that cause anxiety when it kicks in. So when you do something, it stops now that action of the negative chemicals, and you bring in positive chemicals in your brain, in your body, and then you can be able to move on with life. So those three things are important to manage anxiety or stress or any other bad emotions. That is, work, do something, not for money, but for when you do it, you are helping another person or you are bringing a greater good to the community. Then have relationships. And then finally change your attitude so that you have a positive attitude towards whatever is happening in your life.
All right.
Yeah.
As we almost come to a conclusion of the conversation, what mental habits should we acquire? And maybe which ones do you feel like those ones are now so 2025, let's leave them behind?
To start with, I'd say the first thing you need mentally is is an open mind. An open mind means not getting attached to the failures or things that didn't work last year. Have an open mind that 2026 is here, it's a fresh opportunity. I need now to move ahead. Have an open mind. Forget what didn't work last year. Number two, go easy on yourself. Don't compete with others. Go at your pace. You don't know who you're competing with. Naweza kuwa unakimbizana na mwenye unakimbizana naye ni Kipchoge. Ametrain for the rest of his life. And again, pia mwili yake na kule ametoka inamfavor. Probably you don't have that favor. You don't have that family boost that will give you to go ahead. Go at your own pace. And finally, accept yourself. Even ndio mimi niko, these are my flaws, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, this is my background. Accept yourself and move within your means. Once you accept yourself, you don't put so much pressure on yourself, and also you walk with an open mind in this new year. I think things mentally we will go, and also accept Indio Kenya tuko nayo. We don't have another country. This is the best country that we can have. Let's make the best out of it. I also feel it has a lot of opportunities for us, the young people. Yes, we can still make it here. We can still make it here. Let's have faith in it. That's what I would say.
Njiro, what mindset shifts would you encourage everyone, to pick?
The first thing is strive for self-awareness, kujielewa. Like if you have gone through loss and grief, if you have gone through traumas in your life, you start helping yourself to deal with your past all the way from childhood. So when you start every day, when you get an opportunity, and if you can invest your time, you can see specialists, if you know you have gone through traumatic experiences. We call them big T's and small T's. Big T's is that thing that is really traumatic, and anytime someone mentions that, you shivers. So strive for self-awareness, strive for healing so that you can go to that. Then the next one is emotional balance. Trying to see if you have been getting annoyed for the last year, if you are getting anxious, if you have been having mood swings, all the things that were happening, even the changing of thinking. Because if your thought process has always been on the negative, trying to find how can you change so that you can think in the positive. And then finally build the relationships. Try to build healthy relationship with the friends, with the people who can help you, with colleagues, because all that is what will help you to overcome all the challenges of daily living. And seek help, because help is available. You know, for long, people have not been asking for help. Now that we have people who have been licensed in Kenya to support people, it's important as we think of physical health, let us also think of mental health. The way we prioritize going to the hospital to see a doctor because of a physical illness, make a priority also to check in. Like I have had a few people who called me and told me, Cleopa, I don't have an issue. I just want a few sessions for check-in. Because when we walked the journey with you the other time, I was able to go through 1, 2, 3. But for now, I'm not coming to you because I have any issue. I'm coming for a check-in, and I would appreciate if I can see you maybe after every 2 weeks, after every 1 month, because I feel my mental health is important, and there could be things I'm going through that I'm not aware of, and I want to keep the pace. So that is my suggestion to Kenyans, that help is at hand. Don't struggle alone. Seek someone who can be able to walk the journey with you, instead of feeling like your life is not meaningful. You still have purpose, you still have value, and there are different ways you can get help.
All right.
Yes.
I love that, and I feel like that's a good parting shot. But if you, I want to give you each a minute to give us your parting shot. Cleopa, you can just say that was your parting shot, or if you feel like there's something else you can add on to it, it's fine. But now for you, Joshua, I want you to speak to the younger people. I know those are the people that you mainly interact with, and talk to. So to the young person who's watching us today, what would your be your parting shot for them, you know, for this, you know, season that now it's a new year, things are seeming like, you know, it's time for you to now make things afresh or make things work?
Yes, I'd want to tell them that we are in the new year. Among the many things that you've said, try to get opportunities to self-improve yourself this year. Be very intentional and deliberate. Self-improvement means at least learn something new that you have never done. Visit a new place that you have never gone to. Sometimes it might not be that expensive, but be deliberate. Jiambie, hii Easter inakuja, nitaanza kuweka so moja kila wiki. By the time nafika April, nitakuwa na doya kuteremka Mombasa kujitreat for Easter. Try kitu mpya hujaifanya. Enda stadium kuwatch ball. Jibaie jazi, jiandikie jina yako. Just to do something to self-improve yourself. Learn a new skill. If you're a young couple, you're married, learn a new recipe, something that will keep you motivated for the whole of the year. So I'll really insist on try something new and even try to self-improve yourself. There are very many avenues. Try a new habit ambayo unaweza fanya. Kama ni watu yuko now, try to be deliberate with them. Even if you're not living with them, you're a baby daddy or you're a baby mama, be intentional with them this year. Try to be intentional.
Okay, Cleopa?
For me, I would like to go to couples, to people who are in relationship, to parents. We still have a duty to do because we have children, we have people looking upon us, we have each other. Things can work. Even if today your relationship is not working, just have hope and know there are things that you can learn to be able to sustain a relationship, because that relationship is what will help you to work well, to contribute to the society, and to be a better person. So there is hope. Instead of always looking at breakups, separation, divorce, let us start focusing on what we can do to make relationships work. Because when they work, everybody will be happy and they will be doing their work and they will be doing whatever they are supposed to be. So there is hope that we can all get help at personal level and at community and relationship level.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. And this is how we're going to be finishing this conversation today. But I would also love to just maybe give you a tip that I am picking for this year, whereby you write down the good things that have happened, either at the end of the day or at the end of the week. Just note it down somewhere. Have a jar where you're putting down, it's a jar of good things, or if you like to call them blessings. By the end of the week, just write down the things you feel worked for you, what made you happy that week, and then you just fold it, throw it inside that jar. By the end of the year, you will realize just how blessed you were the entire year, or how things worked for you in one way or the other. Even if things might get tough along the way, those are jars that you'll be looking at and smile. So you can pick that as well. This is where we end it. My name is Vivian Degwa. My guests have been Joshua Karanja, who is a trainer and mentor, as well as Cleopa Njiru, who is a counseling psychologist. Thank you for staying with us. On behalf of everyone who has made the show a success this morning, we wish you a lovely day. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. We meet tomorrow, same time, same place, God willing. Goodbye.